April 23, 1967, Soviet Union. On the launch pad sits a brand new spacecraft, Soyuz 1. First crewed flight of a new generation. First test in orbit. First step into the future. Inside the capsule, just one man, Vladimir Komarov. He knows the rumors. The engineers have found hundreds of issues in testing. The control system is buggy, the power supply is fragile, and there are serious questions about the parachutes. But the schedule is sacred. There's a big political date coming. Delaying the launch is bad. Canceling it is worse. There's one more detail. Komarov's backup for this mission is Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space. If Komarov refuses the flight, they'll send Gagarin instead. He chooses the option that makes sense only in the language of loyalty. He flies himself. Soyuz 1 lifts off into the dark sky. The first minutes look like every heroic poster. Thunder, flame, perfect trajectory. Then the checklist of known issues starts coming to life. One of the solar panels fails to deploy. The spacecraft is underpowered and hard to control. The orientation system misbehaves, and Komarov has to manually fight the spacecraft just to keep it stable, burning precious fuel. The planned rendezvous with Soyuz 2 is canceled before Soyuz 2 even leaves the ground. That second mission, with 3 men on board, quietly disappears from the plan, and that cancellation probably saves 3 lives. Now the mission has a single goal. Don't explore space. Don't set records. Just survive. After multiple orbits and several attempts, ground control orders an emergency return. Komarov prepares for re-entry. He orients the capsule, fires the engines, and dives into the atmosphere. The descent is rough, but controllable. He's made it through the worst heating. The capsule is falling toward Earth, ready for the final, simple step, parachute deployment. The small drogue chute comes out, but the main parachute doesn't fully unfurl. It tangles. The backup parachute becomes a part of the mess instead of the solution. The capsule is now a heavy metal rock with a decorative ball of fabric on top. Komarov's final descent is almost free fall. The impact with the ground is so violent that the spherical capsule is crushed into a flattened shape. Fuel explodes, the wreck burns. There is nothing to rescue. Soyuz 1 becomes the first in-flight fatality in spaceflight history. For more than a year, no Soviet human flies again. The spacecraft is redesigned, systems are retested, procedures rewritten. The entire future of the Soyuz program, which still flies today, is built on the grave of that first doomed test. Same year, opposite side of the planet. The United States is racing to the moon. Before they can go anywhere, they have to test the ship. Apollo, January 27, 1967, Cape Kennedy. On the pad sits the Apollo capsule for a mission that will later be known as Apollo 1. But this mission, isn't even supposed to leave the ground. It's just a plugs-out test, simulate launch procedures, check communication, electrical systems, that's it. No fuel in the rocket, no danger. Inside the spacecraft sit 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, Roger Chaffee. All veterans or rising stars. All expecting a long program ahead. The cabin atmosphere for the test is pure oxygen at higher than normal pressure. Easier for the system, harder for any kind of flame. That detail will later become the center of everything. Somewhere in the maze of wiring, a tiny spark appears. In normal air, it might have been nothing. In a high-pressure pure oxygen environment, filled with flammable materials, Velcro, nylon, Wires, panels, it becomes instant hell. Fire races through the cabin in seconds. The temperature skyrockets. The astronauts try to open the hatch, but it opens inward against the rising internal pressure. To unlock and move it, they would need more time than the fire is willing to give. Outside, ground crew hears a shout over the loop. Fire. We've got a fire in the cockpit, and screams, and static. By the time the hatch is forced open from the outside, smoke pours out. The 3 astronauts are gone. The test that could not be dangerous turned into one of NASA's darkest days. The investigation later lists a horrible cocktail of design decisions: high-pressure oxygen, flammable materials, tight wiring, a complicated inward-opening hatch, and no realistic emergency plan. But here's the twist. Apollo 1 never flew. The name, Apollo 1, is given posthumously in honor of the crew. From the ashes of that capsule, NASA changes almost everything. New hatch design, fast and outward opening, different materials inside, rethought atmosphere strategy. Without that fire, the later moon missions might have carried the same hidden dangers. The path to the moon was paved not just with rocket engines and genius, but with one burned capsule that never left the pad. Fast forward to 1971. The Soviets launched Soyuz 11 to Salyut 1, the world's first space station. It's not just a quick visit. This is a long, ambitious stay in orbit. On board, Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, Vladislav Volkov. 3 men, 3 weeks, a whole list of experiments. The dream: turn spaceflight into space living. The start is rocky. When they first dock to Salyut 1, the station greets them with smoke and the smell of something burning. They have to retreat, fix systems, try again. Eventually, they get on board, stabilize everything, and start working. For 23 days, it looks like a textbook success. They run experiments. They film Earth. They talk to the ground, report results, show off life in orbit. It's the kind of mission that makes spaceflight look almost normal. Then it's time to go home. Soyuz 11 undocks, performs the deorbit burn, and lines up for re-entry. Standard procedure. At high altitude, explosive bolts separate the modules: the orbital module, the service module, and the re-entry capsule with the crew. Only the small re-entry capsule returns to Earth. But this time, the explosive sequence is too harsh. A pressure equalization valve, designed to open much later, in dense air to let fresh atmosphere in, is jolted open in space while the capsule is still in vacuum. Air begins to hiss out of the cabin. The 3 cosmonauts are not wearing spacesuits. At that time, the Soyuz design didn't allow full pressure suits for all. They flew in flight suits, trusting the hull. Now, that trust is breaking at the speed of physics. Within seconds, the pressure drops. Blood boils, gases expand, lungs can't hold anything. There are signs that at least one of the men tried to reach and close the valve manually. Traces of fingernail marks, body position. But the human brain only has 10 to 15 seconds of useful consciousness after sudden depressurization. Time runs out too fast. On the ground, everything looks fine. Radar shows a smooth trajectory. The capsule re-enters. Parachutes deploy. Landing is nominal. Rescuers happily approach, expecting 3 tired but victorious cosmonauts. They open the hatch. Inside, 3 bodies in their seats, with darkened faces and traces of bleeding from noses and ears. The cabin is quiet, intact, just empty of air. Soyuz 11's crew, become the only humans in history to die in space itself, not during launch or landing impact, but from the vacuum between. After this, Soyuz is redesigned again. One less seat, more space for pressure suits. From that point on, everyone who flies in a Soyuz during critical phases wears a suit. That safety rule is literally sewn from the last minutes of Soyuz 11. January 28, 1986, Florida. The Space Shuttle Challenger stands on the pad. It's unusually cold. Ice hangs from the metal structures. Engineers are nervous. The O-ring seals in the solid rocket boosters were never tested in such low temperatures and may not be able to seal properly. A group of engineers from Morton Thiokol, the company that built the boosters, strongly recommends delaying the launch. They say, "We don't have enough data to prove it as safe in this cold." Management, under schedule pressure, flips the logic. No data, it's unsafe. Then we're going. Challenger is also carrying something symbolically huge. Krista McAuliffe, a school teacher, the first teacher in space. Across the United States, entire classrooms are watching the launch live on TV. 11:38 a.m. local time. Liftoff. The shuttle climbs into the clear blue sky, leaving a bright plume behind. Applause. Cheering. But high-speed cameras capture something the human eye can't see in real time. A tiny puff of smoke on the right solid rocket booster. An O-ring, stiffened by the cold, fails to seal completely. Hot gases start leaking out, eating into metal like a blowtorch. For a short while, aluminum particles from the burning propellant patch the leak by accident. The rocket keeps going. Then the patch fails. 73 seconds after liftoff, a jet of flame burns through the booster joint, hits the huge external tank full of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, and the entire structure breaks apart. The sky blooms into a monstrous fireball and twin booster trails forming a crooked white fork in the sky. Spectators on the ground take a few long seconds to understand that this is not part of the show. The astronaut cabin actually remains mostly intact for a while and continues on a ballistic arc. Evidence suggests some of the crew activated personal oxygen supplies and tried to react, meaning they were alive after the breakup. But there's no way to survive the final impact with the Atlantic Ocean. All 7 aboard are lost. For many kids watching live, this becomes their first memory that space is not just wonder, but also risk and politics. After Challenger, the entire shuttle fleet is grounded for years. The boosters are redesigned. Heaters are added. Processes for listening to engineers are overhauled. But the most important lesson is psychological. Lack of proof of danger is not the same as proof of safety. February 1st, 2003. The shuttle Columbia is coming home from mission. STS to 107. 16 days of science in orbit. No docking with the ISS. No heroic EVA rescues. Just experiments, sunrise after sunrise. The routine of high-tech science. But back on launch day, something happened at T+81 seconds that didn't look dramatic at all. A chunk of foam insulation from the giant external tank broke off and slammed into the leading edge of Columbia's left wing at high speed. Foam sounds soft, but at those speeds, it hits like a brick. Foam shedding had happened before. It was informally accepted as just one of those things. Some engineers were worried, asked for better imagery from military satellites to inspect the wing in orbit. Management pushed back. Even if the wing is damaged, we have no repair tools and no way to get to a safe haven. So what's the point of looking? That single sentence might be one of the coldest ideas in spaceflight history. On board, The crew knows nothing of this argument. They do their science, film Earth, record cheerful videos. For them, it's a good mission. Re-entry begins. Columbia rolls belly first into the atmosphere, building up a cocoon of plasma around itself. Air so hot it turns into a glowing ionized flow. But where the foam struck the wing, the heat shield is compromised. There's a hole. Superheated gas starts to stream inside the wing structure. Temperatures climb beyond what aluminum and carbon can tolerate. Sensors in the left wing and landing gear begin showing weird readings, rising temperatures, strange failures. The shuttle's computer tries to compensate, but it's like trying to steer a car while one front wheel is melting off. At 8:59 a.m. local time, the crew gives their last calm, routine response to mission control. Moments later, Columbia breaks apart over Texas. Streaks of burning debris cross the sky as fragments fall over a huge area. There are no survivors. The investigation's key conclusion: the foam strike damaged the wing, and the damage was underestimated and then essentially ignored. Foam, management culture, assumptions, it all lined up in exactly the wrong way. From that day on, every shuttle mission includes strict inspection of the thermal protection system, repair kits, contingency plans, possible safe haven scenarios at the ISS. Things that weren't needed before now become mandatory. Columbia becomes the final warning. Shuttle flights end entirely a few years later. The era closes with a hard lesson earned into history. Space is not evil. It doesn't hate us. It just doesn't care. These 5 disasters, Soyuz 1, Apollo 1, Soyuz 11, Challenger, Columbia, all share one brutal theme. Every shortcut, every "it'll probably be fine," every ignored warning eventually meets the part of the universe that runs on math, not optimism. Each time, the price has names and faces. Each time, the rules of the game are rewritten in blood. But there's a second side to all this. Modern launches, the live streams you casually scroll past, the boring, successful missions. They rebuilt on thousands of tiny changes that came after these tragedies. Better materials, better procedures, safer capsules, smarter culture. Checklists that exist only because once something went horribly wrong. Every time a rocket leaves the pad and everyone comes home, it's not just a win for engineering. It's also a quiet thank you to those who didn't.